This needs to be good stuff here. I want to get you. Huh? Yeah. Well, I'm trying to move fast so that we don't get bored in here, and we also got so much work we got to do in the shop. We ain't got time to piddle around.
Where's Chelsea at?
I don't know. She's always she's got stuff sometimes that blindsides her at home. And all right, now test number 3. Everybody got test number 3, right? Engine performance 2, test 3. All right, let me open that up and see if I can get in there to it. Now, let me read this thing to you. A freeze frame, is that the one you got?
Yes, sir.
A freeze frame is generated when an onboard 2 vehicle does what?
Type A.
When it sets a type A or B diagnostic trouble code. A type A or B. The A is the big dog. An ignition misfire or fuel mixture problem is an example of a type A misfire, by the way, okay? Comprehensive component monitor checks components for all the above. Now, let me tell you something about reading the chapters in your book. At the end of this term, and this term is going by at warp speed. You're going to be, before you know it, you're going to say, gosh, it's here already. If you've already read the chapters in the book, then your final is going to go really easy. If you haven't read any of the chapters in the book, you'll be struggling with your open book final for 3 or 4 days. But if you read the chapters in the book, and I'm telling you, words to the wise, read the chapters in the book, and this stuff will come to you as you're looking at your hands on. Plus you got to. All right then. All right, now then, fuel trim and misfires are continually monitored.
Yes.
True or false?
Yes, true.
All right, good answer. All right, DTC P0302 is what?
A.
No, it's not automatic transaxle related. Now we need to memorize that stuff.
C.
You see up there on the wall? Everybody look at this.
That's generic.
Look, yeah, it is. But look at this. Look on the wall up there. If I can get my right laser. Look at that. See that little chart right there? Everybody look at that and burn that in. Look at that little chart right there. It's going to tell you how to parse those numbers on a trouble code. That's why I stuck that on the wall. If I gave everybody a copy of it, it would use up a lot of toner, because you know what happens when I give everybody a copy of something like that? I see it on the floor and people's footprints are on it and all that. So I put that on the wall. By the way, there's your evaporative system if you want to study that a little bit.
Let's get 4.
Huh?
Number 4 is C, right?
Yeah. Onboard 2 diagnostics has been on all passenger vehicles in the it says since 1996, but well, yeah, that's technically correct, but some of your 1-ton pickup trucks, which really I don't guess you could call that a passenger vehicle unless you had a crew cab, some of those had OBD1 on them in 1997. But this 1996, if you want to get this right, the guy that wrote this test says 1996, so that's what we'll go with.
Mine's 94 and it don't have it.
Yeah, yours doesn't have it, and it's got that. Yours is the Honda car. All right, now you got your fuel trim and misfires are continuously monitored. PO302 is a generic DTC. How do we know it's generic, Wes?
I don't remember.
It's got a 0 instead of a 1. If it's a manufacturer specific code, see how it's got, look at that code up there that says P1238 on that little handout I was talking about?
Yeah.
That 1 means it's a manufacturer specific code. If you've got a generic scan tool and you plug in and you get a manufacturer specific code, the manufacturer specific code is not going to have a definition in your generic scan tool most of the time. All right, it'll say, we don't know, this is manufacturer specific. Now, I will tell you those codes are very similar to the generic codes, but mill is turned off when? The codes are cleared with a scan tool, that's right. When the vehicle's driven 3 consecutive trips. A trip is actually when it gets to operating temperature and it's been driven a certain amount of time now. And power, it's a D, power to the PCM's exact. Okay, which generic DTC could indicate a loose gas cap or defective emission control system? PO442.
No B.
It's not going to be a 1603. It's not going to be a 1301. It's not going to be a PO220. All right. You'll learn to get to where you can recognize these. One day there was this guy at Advanced Auto Parts that was going to plug into this woman's car, and I just happened to be standing there, putting windshield washer fluid in my Jeep or something. And he came out and he was going to plug it in and see what her code was. You know how these people at the parts house do.
I hate when you go to a park.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this girl was there. This guy was plugging in, and I was saying, 700 series code will be transmission, 200 series codes do with fuel, 500 series code's got to do with something like speed, which would be engine or vehicle speed. You know, I was rattling through all that kind of stuff. And this guy was really friendly until he heard me saying all this stuff that he didn't know, and then he got hostile. And he told me to leave and let him do his job. I said, well, I'm trying to get your way. He was trying to sell her an oxygen sensor, what it amounted to, and she probably didn't need one. You don't throw an oxygen sensor at it just because you got a PO 171. You got it? You better find out where the air is leaking, right? You remember the air leak and all that? Okay. Pending code set when a fault's detected on what?
Hold on, you skip number 9.
Sorry about that. Powertrain control module, this is number 9, will automatically clear a DTC if there are no additional detected faults after 40 consecutive warm-up cycles. The pending code is set when a fault is detected on what? The first of a 2-trip failure. Pending codes are the ones that don't show up yet, right? You know what I'm saying? They're coming. If it happens again, we're going to throw you a code, but it hasn't happened but one time yet. Technician A says when the mill is on, malfunction indicator light, the technician retrieves the diagnostic trouble code and follows the manufacturer's recommended procedure to find the root cause of the problem. Technician B says all OBD2 monitors must have the enable criteria achieved before a test is performed. Both of those guys are right, technically. The malfunction indicator lamp is turned off when under any of the following conditions except what? Yeah, the PCM diagnostic link is grounded. Technician A says OBD2 includes generic as well as vehicle manufacturer specific DTCs and data displays. Yes. Technician B says OBD2 vehicles use a 12-pin DLC. Wrong. Yeah, it's a 16-pin DLC. And what is pin 16? Power. What's pins 4 and 5? Ground. You got to remember how they're mapped on there. I drew those wrong the other day. 4 and 5 right next to each other on the top row. All right, now how many terminals are in an OBD2? Yeah, we got 16. We know that. An element of this is number 15. An element of the OBD2 diagnostic management system that stores engine data during a DTC set is called what? It takes a snapshot of about 10 PIDs. Freeze frame, right? One time we had a Explorer that somebody bought, or it might have been a Bronco, and they drove that thing to Ozark, and it immediately came back, and they wanted out of the deal because the check engine light came on while they were driving. And so I plugged into it. They said, "See what the check engine light is," because they're wanting out of the deal. And I plugged in, and it had a 1270 code. That means they drove it just as fast as they could make it go.
What?
It went over speed. And it started cutting the injectors out because they were going too fast for the tires. If you go too fast on one, this thing will go 140 miles an hour, but it don't need to. And you got because the tires ain't gonna handle it. The tires come all to pieces, and you are a dead man. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, it threw a 1270 code. I mean, they were either revving it too hard or they were driving it too fast or something. It started, and it scared them because they thought they had messed it up right away.
They knew what they did.
And when the check engine light came on, they thought, "Oh no, we've ruined the car." Now we try to get out of it. We don't want this car. Well, see, you plugged in, it ratted them out. And the freeze frame data even told how fast they were going, how fast the engine was spinning. I don't remember, but it was ridiculous.
It was
I think whenever you hit about 100 miles an hour or 110, it starts
you
cutting.
You found them big SUV vehicles? My Tahoe cut out of 100 miles.
Yeah, and that's about what it was doing. One time, this guy that was a revenue enforcement officer, Alabama State Trooper. You ever seen them guys? They got a uniform that's the same color all the way up and down, but they got a state trooper patch. And they drive a regular car. It's not a police interceptor. And so this guy he came in the shop and he says, "Hey, my car won't hit but about 100 miles an hour. I don't know if there's something wrong with it." I said, at the time I was thinking he had a police interceptor. I should have done better than that. And I said, "Well, I don't know. You know what you want me to do about that?" I said, I guess I can see what I see on it, you know. So, and I said, "But you need to ride with me if I'm going to be driving 100 miles an hour." This is ridiculous. He says, "I can ride with you." So we got in. We headed up 431. And I was, bumping about 100 miles an hour, and he's sitting over in the seat next to me, and he says, "You want to watch when you come over to the next hill, because sometimes there's a trooper sitting there." And I went, "What? You're a trooper. Am I going to get a ticket driving your car trying to find out?" That's the stupidest little thing I ever saw. But anyway, all right, now then, an OBD2 system, when all enabling criteria are met for a given diagnostic, is considered to be which of the following? A trip. When all of the enabling criteria are met for it to check something. You know what the hardest one of those things to clear is it's checking a bunch of different things. It's checking for misfires. It's checking for the fuel system. The evaporative system is a pain to get that one to clear. It'll clear all the monitors except the evaporative system. Now, once again, remember, if it's less than 15% or more than 85% fuel, it won't clear the evaporative system.
I think you skipped.
Did I miss one? 16. Onboard diagnostic system levels 1 and 2 are being discussed. Technician A says only OBD2 systems require misfire detection. Technician B says OBD1 was capable of detecting exhaust emissions. Technician A is right about that. In an OBD2 system, when enabling criteria are met for a given diagnostic, which one? What? What did you say?
You went into that one.
Which one? Okay, never mind.
You skipped one.
You know, you're right. It does say a trip. All right. I was ignited. Technician A says warm-up cycles are used to erase DTCs and freeze-frame data. Technician B says the OBD2 requires diagnostic system to monitor all emission-related components and systems. Which technician is correct, Jeremy? A and C? All right. Or A and B? Which organizations develop guidelines for OBD2? EPA and CARB. Who is CARB? California Air Resources Board. Some smart aleck came up with that, okay? Which of these is a two-trip monitor on an OBD2 vehicle? The diagnostic test on a component that requires 2 consecutive failures to set a trouble code. That's a two-trip monitor. Got that? Everybody happy on that. Now let's jump through with number 4. It won't take but a second.